Hey everybody, welcome back to another podcast. It's a random reviewer, and I'm here as usual with the worst generation.
Hello, I'm the worst generation. Also, Ian. I go by he, him pronouns. Hooray.
And I'm Ashley Riley. I'm random reviewer, and I go by she, her. Today we are very, very excited to do Kangaroo Jack.
Yes, Kangaroo Jack, which is a film that I honestly forgot about, and I remember all the hype when it first came out, and then I promptly forgot about it. So, I think revisiting it, I know we'll talk about it later, but I enjoyed revisiting it, even though it feels very 2000s, but I like it.
No, I definitely like this movie a lot. I remember watching it a lot with my siblings growing up. It's very underrated. This is an underrated movie.
Yes. But before we get into Kangaroo Jack, we have a new section on this podcast called In Music News.
Oh?
So I just added this today, and the new music news is that Kermit the Frog will now live forever in the Library of Congress.
Forever?
Forever.
I love Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, so um, the Library of Congress chooses a certain amount of media to preserve for indefinite amount of time, such as like the Frankenstein monsters movie. A lot of albums get preserved if they're considered like culturally significant, and it was decided that the song Rainbow Connection would be preserved in the Library of Congress for future generations. I know that you love Rainbow Connection, and this happened literally 2 days ago at the time of recording this, so I thought that this would be an exciting little thing to put in. So,
Oh my gosh. Rainbow Connection is my favorite. You can't see me, but I'm actually like crying in the studio.
she is. But yeah, I thought that that was important enough, so that's going to be the new segment on this podcast called Music News. So I just wanted to let you all know that Kermit the Frog is going to live forever. Anyways,
Yay!
Kangaroo Jack.
Alrighty. So this movie is rated PG, which is important to remember as we go throughout our podcast
Why is it rated PG?
because it's a family-friendly kids film.
Which part is family friendly?
The kangaroo and the jacket part. Obviously. Come
The
on.
kangaroo and the
Jakiy
jacket.
leggss.
Jakiy legs, yes. It's a fun family film with no, drugs, violence, sex, anything. It's very clean for the whole family, isn't it?
You know, I feel like it's definitely inspired a lot of people in our generation. But also, why the fuck did my parents let me watch this so much as a kid?
No, this like as we were watching it, like when I was a kid, I forgot most of the things that happened
Right?
in it, and so rewatching it, I'm like, whoa.
This is not kid appropriate.
But this kind of came out around the same time as didn't Click come out, or
Click is older.
Click is older. It kind of feels like it's falls under that same category where it's like it's promoted as this family slash kids movie, but like it really isn't. And I think it's partly due because I don't know to the extent, but I know that they did a lot of reshoots for the film, and I'm sure we're going to get into that later, correct?
This is now.
Yeah, oh, this is now. So there
Yes,
was
we're going to talk about the original Kangaroo Jack.
yeah, which wasn't it called Down Under?
Down and Under, an
Down.
R-rated mobsters buddy cop movie.
Okay. You can definitely tell that from this, can't you?
Yeah, no, these are some of the scenes that they kept in the original movie that they just reworked.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of works. I mean, I remember someone describing it as it was supposed to be a raunchy comedy that they were like no one liked, but everyone liked the kangaroo. So they reshot it for the kangaroo. Is that really the whole?
That is actually what happened. If you look at the Wikipedia and the Warner Brothers information on their website about Kangaroo Jack, it talks about how it tested really poorly with audiences, and the one scene that worked was when Charlie Capone gets hit by Jakiy leggss. And so they were like, what if the problem is not enough kangaroo?
That seems like such you don't think like, man, maybe the story needs to be rewritten or maybe it's not funny. I think it's the kangaroo.
We definitely need more kangaroo.
And
And make it a kid's film.
Yes, make it a kid's film. And it fails really miserably at that. I don't know if I would say it's a kid's film. It's a teenager film.
This is a coming of age movie.
Who's coming to aid?
Hey, I don't know about you, but
Jakiy leggss.
Oh, right. Hey, he has kids. His kids can come of age, I guess. Right. That's how that works.
Yes, they grow up if they're not eaten by what predators are in Australia. Oh, I know
the kangaroo is the top of the food chain. Have you met a
everything
kangaroo?
in
Austra-
Congo, everything in Australia.
Everything in the Congo.
Everything in the Congo. I was going to say he'll get eaten by a lion, but then I realized the complete problem with that statement because there are no lions in Australia.
Welcome to Australia. We've got lions as well as all the deadly spiders and snakes.
Well, maybe that's, kangaroos might be the top of the food chain, but they'll definitely be killed by like any venomous snake, spider, everything. It's where everything that can kill you goes.
Kangaroos will sit in the water and wait for you to go out to them, and then they drown you. True story.
That's so happy. I'm glad that we're talking about this on this podcast about a stupid
happier
movie.
Note, in Winnie the Pooh, Kanga and Roo are kangaroos, in case you wanted to know how original that name was. Also, how old were you when you figured out that? Probably younger than I was, because I figured that out 4 days ago when recording for this podcast. Oh, you're welcome, guys. So if you didn't know that, now you do. And I also know that now. So we learn new things every time we do this.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. So it was originally an R-rated movie, and it flopped hard with testers. So they remade it, and they shot in Australia in the month of August in 2003.
Wow. How long was it? Just a month, or was it
just 1 month?
Oh.
Which honestly, why would you oh wait, no, never mind. Because Australia's on a different hemisphere than we are. So for a second I was like, why would you shoot in the summer in Australia? No, it was winter. Okay, never mind. I'm good.
They did shoot in the cooler months.
That makes sense.
Yes. Okay. Can we move on from this slide?
I think so. Let's
Cool.
see something else.
No, I don't. Oh my god. So I'm guessing these are the stars if you want to put it.
I'm so okay. So let's talk about the heroes of Kangaroo Jack. Woo! Okay, so first of all, Christopher Walken is the bad guy in this movie. Like,
I think that's great. I think
what?
that's great.
That's like a real actor.
It's a real actor in this movie.
Amazing. I don't like it's. And also, like, in the R-rated movie, he would be a phenomenal mobster. And his right-hand man is Michael Shannon. Like, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony Anderson is absolutely hilarious. He plays Lewis. He's super funny. He's currently has his own sitcom on ABC, Blackish. And also Mixed-ish. Really, really funny guy. Jeffrey O'Connell was, like, an okay Charlie. Like... He's okay as, like, a main character. Honestly, I feel like he's a generic version of Michael from Arrested Development.
I could see that, yeah.
Like,
he's kind of generic.
Off-brand version.
Yeah, generic. I would just say it's generic, buddy cop guy. Generic hero-ish.
Yeah, it's just a off-brand version of, like, Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Um, Estella Warren. Let's talk about Estella Warren.
Is she even really in this film?
She is. And my God, isn't she beautiful?
Yes.
That she is. Estella Warren is literally eye candy in here, which, you know, I hate it when women are just there for, like, to motivate the protagonist, but she's actually, like, really cool. She's really smart, and she runs, like, this wildlife reserve, and she, like, even though she's American, she clearly knows a lot more than Charlie and Lewis, and so I just really like her character. I really like her storyline. I do kind of dislike that she gets together with Charlie, because I feel like there's literally no reason for that.
Plot.
Like I said, there's literally no reason for that.
Yeah, there is no reason.
And it's just, but
I mean, you could really write her out of the script really incredibly easily.
yeah, but then my gay ass wouldn't sit through this movie anymore.
I don't think many people sat through this movie.
Okay, in the old guy in the center,
He's the pilot.
He's the airplane pilot, and he is absolutely hilarious. He's one of the best characters in this movie. His name is Bill Hunter. He hasn't done a lot of other stuff. So funny. He is one of my favorites, so I had to put him in here because he's just phenomenal. And, like, for dry humor, like, that scene is hilarious. Where they tranquilize him while they're flying. Oh, gosh, so funny.
Yeah.
So, up in the top left is our animated Jakiy leggss. The Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah. Why do they call him... Why is the movie named Kangaroo Jack when they just call him Jakiy leggss? Like, they never call Jakiy leggss Kangaroo Jack at all.
No, they never do. And they never refer to him as Jack. They always call him Jakiy.
Mm-hmm.
In the original Down and Under, they had an animatronic kangaroo, and this picture on the right is the only picture of it ever. And the way I got it was screen grabbing it from the Kangaroo Jack reunion, which is where they showed it one time, because it's terrifying. So they decided to animate him for the whole rest of the movie.
So, really quick question. I guess this would have belonged in the slide before, but, like, was the kangaroo stealing the money? Like the original?
No, the original kangaroo was just supposed to kick him. That was all it was. The original kangaroo was just supposed to beat up Charlie.
Cool.
So they had an animatronic. But clearly that would not work for an entire movie. So they, animated him on the left. Which, honestly, rewatching this movie, the animated kangaroo in 2003, it is not bad. It looks pretty...
It's horrifying now.
Like, it's kind of rough now, but in 2003, like, that is not bad for a kangaroo.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid and believing that was a kangaroo.
I could get that. I know that, like, someone described it, I think it was yourmoviesucks.org, described it as, like, every time you see CGI get better, your brain, like, does, like, a mental update. So then you just immediately are able to tell older CGI just by looking at it for a split second, because your brain just, like, updates. So CGI never ages well. This one doesn't age well, but it's still interesting.
I still feel like for the time period, it actually looks really good. But it's really rough when they put him next to shots of real kangaroo.
Oh,
and you're like,
yeah.
Oof.
Ooh.
Not a promising thing there.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth it, 100% worth it. Let's talk about how this movie, everyone hated it.
Yeah, everyone did really hate it. And I mean, I'm not going to say that I think that this movie is really great, because it's pretty bad, but in a fun way. I think I would rewatch it again at some point to make fun of it more.
I agree.
But, like, I don't know if it's as bad as everyone says it is. I don't know.
8% on Rotten Tomatoes. So critics
That's a good score, right?
Yeah, it's like golf. The smaller the score, the better. So critics hated it. Absolutely hated it. And said, one critic was quoted saying, "Not only is Kangaroo Jack a bad movie, it shows how bad the NPR MPAA rating system is at defining what is child appropriate and what is not.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. I don't think that this movie is PG at all.
The Chicago Tribune has a news article talking about parents being angry at taking their kids to Kangaroo Jack and having it be appropriate. What's important is what the Chicago Tribune named this article,
Yeah.
which is parents are hopping mad at Kangaroo Jack. And I just was
They're
like, the
hopping.
Chicago Tribune saw that and they just went for it. And I'm like, that's valid. I feel that. That's brave.
It must have been a slow news day for sure that day.
Oh my god, it's amazing. Amazing. Yeah, no, critics still bash this movie to this day.
I mean, I can understand it's not. It definitely feels like a product of its time, you know? Like it feels like kind of early 2000s. And I could see disliking it just because it seems very dated now. Yeah, it's a trip. I remember seeing it. I don't think I saw it in theaters. I know I saw it on Cartoon Network.
Kangaroo Jack?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it on Cartoon Network.
owned the DVD as a kid. So one of the things that's that's really fun to look at is Kangaroo Jack was nominated for awards.
How many did it win?
One, the Kids' Choice Award, Favorite Fart in a Movie, Anthony Anderson, 2004. MTV Movie Award, Best Virtual Performance, Kangaroo Jack was nominated. Razzie Awards, Worst Supporting Actor, Anthony Anderson and Christopher Walken, nominated. Teen Choice Awards, Choice Movie Actor Comedy, Anthony Anderson again, nominated. Stinkers Bad Movies Awards, Most Painfully Unfunny Comedy, Least Special Effects, Worst Supporting Actress, and Most Annoying Non-Human Character.
I mean, I will say, you know how we had said that, like, the director looked at the negative feedback from the test audience and said, this movie needs more kangaroo, and then proceed to make the kangaroo one of the worst characters I think I've ever seen, because whenever Jakiy Leggss starts talking, I just want him to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's so... The whole movie is just wild. Like, I just... Do you know what beat Kangaroo Jack?
What beat Kangaroo?
Boat Trip.
Boat Trip?
From 2003. So what was nominated for 2003 for most painfully unfunny comedy was Scary Movie 3,
Okay.
Kangaroo Jack,
Okay.
Dumber and Dumberer When Harry Met Lloyd, The Cat in the Hat, and Boat Trip Artisan.
Wow.
And Kangaroo Jack received 0% of the votes.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was 40% to Boat Trip, 28% to Cat in the Hat. So Boat Trip must have been really bad.
Well, in a future episode, we'll be talking about Boat Trip.
Oh, man.
We'll find out how this relates. We'll do some investigation later.
Ooh. Yeah, no, it's, So, critics continue to bash this movie now. Even, like, years later, they'll talk about how the rating system, it doesn't work. And one critic said that it's brainless and inane. This is for undemanding kids only.
I could see that. Yeah. Okay. They are being pretty harsh towards it, I will say. I don't know if I agree with how harsh to be, but, you know, oh well.
O'Connell and Anderson gamely attempt a Laurel and Hardy vibe, but are thwarted by a willful script that has them shrieking, falling over, and working labored gags. Warren's heroine adds little, while Walken's stock-turn-as mobster Sal finds him slumming yet again. But unlike the titular Rue, at least he actually manages to take the money and run.
Ha ha
Yeah.
ha ha ha.
So let's talk about Kangaroo Jack.
Yes, is that the next slide?
Yes, it is.
Yay. Oh my gosh. I love the bottom right slide.
Oh my god. So that is one of my favorite scenes in the movie where Kangaroo Jack eats a spicy jawbreaker. Hilarious. I don't know why people don't like this movie. This movie's hilarious, okay? I love this movie. Like, sure, there are definitely some problematic elements, and I would not be willing to show it to my kids before they're 13, but I love this movie. First of all, let's talk about a couple of these scenes. One of them is, so let's just go in order, the top left corner. This is like a turning point in the movie where they put their Lewis's sweatshirt with the money on the kangaroo to take a picture of Jakiy leggss.
Mm-hmm. And the money's in the
and the money's in the pocket,
which causes this whole adventure to happen.
Yeah. Who puts a jacket on a kangaroo?
Well, you know, I like the fact that they run over the kangaroo, they hit the kangaroo, and he's like, it's Jakiy leggss. And it's like, who the fuck is Jakiy leggss?
Right?
That's never actually explained other than it's a kangaroo. Like, it would have been good if there was, like, some sort of explanation.
Mm-hmm.
But
Agree. Kangaroos, I mean, the ticks, the fleas, the diseases, why would you put your coat on that?
because funny photo. Selfies, 2000s. That's all the rage.
Oh my god. He should have made a Vine about it. So, in the center is another one of my favorite scenes. It's the scene in the very beginning where they're stealing TVs. Except Charlie and Lewis don't know they're stolen. They're just transporting them for Sal. And it is so funny. They just like keep hitting things and running over. They almost flip over the truck. And then every time Lewis flings a TV out of the back of the truck because he's driving crazy, Charlie will yell out a number of how many TVs they have left. And by the time they get to the warehouse, it's like 2.
Yeah, it's something really small like that.
And just, this movie's hilarious. It's funny.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't find... I find some parts of it pretty funny, and other times but I enjoy kind of the awkwardness of it.
Right?
Myself, it's like I don't particularly. I think that the idea of that scene is really funny. I feel like it could have been executed just slightly better, but I'm like, it's not too bad. It's kind of a schlocky film, and they do a good job at being a schlocky film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Some of the scenes that I don't like in this movie are, bottom left is Jakiy leggss rapping. I just hated that scene. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't like it. It was like his weird dream that Charlie has at some point. Thought that was like weird. I also really like, above that one is the fart joke, which is just like,
Fart jokes are funny. Said no one.
no.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it. That's like the only kid-friendly joke in this movie, though.
I
do want to point that out.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right. Yeah, it feels really unnecessary too. It's kind of like, okay, fart jokes.
And then the scene across with the girl in the airplane, also didn't really like that scene because I just felt like it wasn't funny as much as it was just like gross and kind of like innuendos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the scene where Lewis figures out that they're carrying like $50,000 in cash, and it sounds like they're talking about poop, right?
Yeah, it sounds like they're talking about poop, and then it's just gross. The whole thing is gross.
Yeah.
I don't like any of it. One of the best scenes in this entire movie is in the top center. That is the airplane ride.
I do vividly remember the airplane ride. That's the one thing I do like remember from my childhood is that scene.
It's so good. It's so funny because they're trying to shoot Jakiy leggss, and then they shoot the pilot.
And the pilot just is slowly losing like ability to move, and he's like, oh.
I think my favorite is when he goes, "Hey, fellows," and it's just like so calm, and it's like they're about to die, and he's like, "Fellows, I can't seem to move my legs here."
No, I can't seem to move my arms. I think is it
No,
legs
it's
or
legs first, and then it's arms. And he's like, I'm having issues seeing. And then Lewis is like counting out the symptoms.
yeah.
He's like, loss of motor functions, loss of sight, full body paralysis. And then he's like, unconsciousness. And they're like screaming, and Charlie's trying to fly the plane, and they're about to die. Hilarious. I think it's so funny. Also, Bill Hunter's a tiny man. I'm like, how did that dosage just not just kill him? They were trying to shoot like a 250-pound kangaroo.
Movie logic. Movies.
The bottom center, when they're trying to catch Jakiy leggss with like using Stella Warren's Jesse methods, the montage to me was always like, how long do they spend on this? Like, how much?
Yeah.
Like, how did they go from like zero to heroes? Like,
yeah, no, I feel like this movie suffers from it has no idea how much time it spends in any place, because I really can't tell if it's only a few days. Like, I think we're supposed to assume it's like only 2 days, but it feels like it's like they've been there for like weeks. Yeah.
And also, there's a part where Lewis at this point, oh no, Charlie goes, I am Bolo Man. And I'm like, is that racist? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was like a weird, I was like, what? I don't, and they keeps bringing it up, and I wish there was something like if they were driving and they just saw like a billboard and it said, what, Bolo? Bobo?
Bolo.
Bolo. Like Bolo Man or something like that, so then we'd have a little bit more information, but it just comes out of nowhere and it's really weird.
Yeah, no, well, Merriam-Webster's, it just means a man armed with a bolo, so maybe it's not racist, but I'm just like, it just sounds weird coming from him, and I'm like,
yeah,
I know it's called a bolo, but like,
Bolo Man?
I don't know, it just like, that's what the weapon he's using is called, is a bolo.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm Bolo Man. And I'm like, is this a hero? Is this a reference I don't understand? 2003?
Who knows?
Up in the middle of those 4 pictures is a picture of Waffles, the dog, who I just has no actual relevance to this movie, but I just think I just love her.
Yeah, she's in for like
The
2
first
minutes.
scene. Yeah. And then Lewis has to run back down the warehouse where they're stealing TVs because she's frozen with fright. And that just, I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it always is that, and I'm just like, I love that Lewis went back for his dog.
Mm-hmm.
I always love that.
Doggy.
Doggy.
Top right.
Top right.
Oh dear.
Oh, yes.
We now present to you a random rant.
Are y'all ready, folks? Okay. It's time for Random's Rant. So, Charlie up here is having a mirage, right? Like, he's seeing this car and these drinks and whatever, and that's totally fine. That joke is funny. And so then it's a setup for a joke in another scene that I did not feel like screen grabbing or taking a picture of because it bothers me. And that is, Charlie thinks, so they meet Jesse, and he thinks Jesse's a mirage. He's like, there's no way that's real. So Charlie's first thought, as this woman in this mirage walks towards him, is to grab her breasts. Charlie's first thought is literally, this is his fantasy. He tells Lewis he wants to, quote, enjoy this. And his thought is, let me just sexually assault this woman real quick. What the fuck? Also, that, like, this is a kid's movie, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, that's like teaching boys that it's okay. And like, she punches him, but he has like no repercussions for that. Like, he apologizes and stuff, but it's like,
No, she threatens to like chemically castrate him.
oh no, she says that she fed him like pee or something. That was like the.
Oh, was it that?
Yeah,
I don't
no.
know. It was something like that.
I don't. Yeah, no.
But not like the repercussion that you would expect from that.
And also, like, the idea of sexually assaulting someone was his, like, best fantasy.
Yeah.
No, and I just feel like that's really kind of an awful message, and I feel like it makes light of like that idea,
Mhm.
which bothers me. And I feel like women deserve better representation in movies. People of color deserve better representation in movies. And that scene just infuriates me because it's like, why is Jakiy there other than to be like sexually appealing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, that scene bothers me on multiple levels, but I think most importantly, it's that a lot of kids saw this, and kids in our generation have like grown up thinking, oh, it's okay to do things like that. It's okay to harass women because like my favorite person on TV does it, or like whatever. And like we need to stop this now,
Mhm.
and we should have stopped it then. Like his behavior wasn't okay then, and it wasn't funny, and the writers who wrote it wasn't funny, and so yeah, and so that scene bothers me, and I actually really forgot about it. And when we watched it, I paused it so I could yell for a minute.
Oh yeah, I do vaguely remember that.
And poor Worst Generation is just sitting there while I'm like going off, and I'm just so angry, and I'm like, this is how sexual predators are made. And he's like, reel it in.
I think I was just drinking a beer.
I know. I think you were just drinking alcohol. You were like, yep, there she goes.
So yeah.
Anyways, there is your random rant.
Can I bring up the whole thing on Jessie that she has a tambourine?
Oh my god.
And it's never so like because you pointed it out, and it's like, oh yeah, she does. She has a tambourine on her camel, and then when she punches him, she has a tambourine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
Next to her canteen.
And it's like, I wonder if like in the original script she had more of a character. I don't want to know how much more of a character she had because it was probably horrible. But at the same time, it's like that makes me question what her original character was and also what they cut out. But overall, yeah, no, it's ugh is my review.
Yeah, no. Don't be a Bridget.
Don't be a Bridget.
Alrighty. Ready to go? Move on?
Yes, don't be like Jess and
Bridget.
Oh, dear God. Look, that's a kangaroo, mate.
G'day, mate.
G'day, mate.
Alrighty, so... let's take them one at a time. So, in the top left, and a couple pictures from that, is... Kangaroo Jack.
G'day, USA.
So, it is a sequel to 2003 Kangaroo Jack. It's a direct-to-video. It follows, sometime after the first film, Charlie and his wife Jessie and his best friend Lewis travel to Australia, and it's up to them to save the animals of the outback from the danger of poachers, along with their friend Jakiy leggss.
I remember really liking the sequel. I know that's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
But I remember liking it as a kid, and I'm just kind of like vaguely remembering some things and being like, oh, yeah, that was pretty bad. But yeah, that's something that happened. I remember seeing it on Cartoon Network.
Right, like I remember seeing it one time as a kid also, but it like did really bad.
Yeah. Well, they knew it was going to be bad if it went direct to video.
Direct to video in 2004.
What's the next one? Can I ask about the bottom right one? Or are you wanting to save that one?
No, you can ask about it. I actually didn't want to talk about it. So, I drew the short straw this week, so I had to read the fan fiction.
Yay.
No, not yay. Therapy link is down below, like always. So, that is the Jessie Charlie fan fiction, BDSM.
50 Shades of Grey, but
50 Shades of Kangaroo.
The 50 Kangaroo Jacks.
50 Shades of Jakiy leggss. No. No, it's not titled that. I don't remember exactly what it's titled. I don't think I wanted to remember. It's awful. Basically, there's only like 3 chapters of it, which thank God. They didn't even make it to any of the BDSM part. Like, it was like...
They just say it's BDSM. There's no BDSM.
Correct. I was like, well, that's a
Oh.
letdown. I want to know if it was BDSM with a kangaroo or with Jakiy.
It's with both. We shall never know the writer's intent.
But basically, the whole plot line was that in the beginning, Charlie and Lewis are hanging out with Jakiy, and Charlie and Jakiy are married, and Jakiy finds out she's pregnant, right? Cool. And so she's about to tell Charlie, but then Charlie has to go on this business trip, and she's like, I'll just tell him later. And then Mr. Smith shows up.
That's what you do when you're pregnant with someone's child, and you wait until later to tell them. Okay, they go on a business trip with Mr. Smith.
No. Charlie and Lewis leave for a business trip, and Jakiy stays home, which makes 0 sense because she's technically a part of that company.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Smith shows up and kidnaps Jakiy, and that's where it cuts off. There's no closure. I don't know what happens after that.
Oh my God. Okay.
No, and it's rough, guys. I mean, I wouldn't recommend reading it.
We don't recommend reading any of the fan fiction that we talk about. So, what about top right?
Top right.
Look, that's a kangaroo, mate.
Top right is a Wattpad fan fiction between, honestly,
Bugs Bunny?
No, that is The Rise of the Guardians Easter Bunny.
I fucking hate this.
I
hate this more than it being Bugs Bunny. Rise of the Guardians.
Mom, my tauntaun died and I'm cold. Can you come get me?
My friends left me outside. They won't let me in. Can you get me? Yes, Mom. It's the second time this has happened. God, what was that one like? Why?
My therapy link is down below. Not as bad as what I thought it was going to be, but it was just like they saw each other and they were like, oh. And I was like, is this supposed to be gay porn? Because I could get kind of interested in that. But no, it just was like a paragraph of them like meeting and it was going to get spicy and then they never finished it. So I don't know.
Oh.
I just am imagining that it was going to get spicy, but that was just the fan art in front of it.
It's just this. Oh, God. What about bottom left?
Bottom left is just fan art.
Thank God.
It's just fan art.
Fan of Kangaroo Jack.
Oh my God. I'm a fan of Kangaroo Jack. Not in a, clearly not in the same way as some of these people are.
Yeah, no. It's where you're like, I've enjoyed the movie, but I'm not going to write a 50 Shades of Kangaroo Jack, of Jakiy Leggss.
No, God.
50 Shades of Jakiy Leggss.
50 Shades of Lewis's lucky red jacket. Oh my gosh. No, I do really enjoy Kangaroo Jack. Kangaroo Jack is definitely one of those movies I remember watching as a kid because I didn't feel good and it made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same time, it's so inappropriate. Who was letting me watch this as a kid?
Yeah,
dang.
No, it really reminds me of watching Click and being like, this isn't meant for kids. There's a fair amount of those movies where it's like, this is not made for kids, but we as kids watched it, so.
It's totally a guilty pleasure. I know that my kids aren't going to be allowed to watch this until they're older because it's not appropriate, and I won't let them watch it without telling them the context of don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I do really love this movie, even though it has a lot of flaws and it's not good by any means. It is fantastic. I mean, it does make me smile.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid always wanting to try one of those spicy jawbreakers.
Ones that you can't fit in your mouth.
Yeah, and then I realized I would hate that.
Yeah, because then you're cutting pieces off and eating it, not just shoving the whole thing. It's not like Ed, Edd and Eddy where you get a giant jawbreaker and able to put it in. It's yeah, My mom explained that to me, and I was very disappointed that you can't put a giant jawbreaker in your mouth.
Baby Ian had his dreams crushed the day his mom came in and told him he was not allowed to put a giant jawbreaker in his mouth like Ed, and Eddie.
Yeah. Also, Lewis carries around candy in his pocket in the outback in like 100-degree weather. Could you imagine how sticky and horrible that would have been?
You know, I'm just surprised that Kangaroo Jack ate all of it because I was like, it probably tasted really gross and like super sweet and blah.
Yeah. Should we move on to the next slide, which I think is please subscribe.
As always, please subscribe.
Subscribe and YouTube stuff. Any closing thoughts, life lessons, ideas, regret?
I don't regret this movie, which is still regret The Wild.
I still regret. Yeah, I agree. I still regret The Wild.
I like this one. This one was fun.
Yeah, this one was much better. It was nice to get back into everything with this. So, yeah.
Yeah, sorry we took a hiatus. That was my bad. But we're back, and we're going to keep uploading weekly like usual. So please subscribe to The Worst Generation, Twitter at TheWorstGenre7.
Yes, and then subscribe to Random Reviewer, the channel you are on right now, and go to their Instagram and their Twitter and do the follow thing.
Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can be the first one to hear when our podcast comes out.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll be moving on to other podcast avenue places soon. So
very excited. Stay tuned for some Bigfoot stuff and maybe Jaws 4 ?
Jaws 4, other things. Yes. Shark Week, some point, someday, sometime, somewhere.
Anyways.
And it's your channel. I'm not going to close it on. Close your channel for you.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.